The night was settling slowly over the mountains, a night thick with silence, wrapped in the cool breath of pine trees. Fireflies drifted lazily like floating lanterns, and the wind whispered through the leaves as if sharing secrets with the dark. Near the bend of an old river stood a small wooden hut, and inside that hut sat an elderly woodcutter, his hands rough, his hair silver, his heart quiet as moonlight. Few knew the truth about this man. Fewer still understood the strange and powerful lesson he carried, a lesson that once changed an entire village. Tonight, in the hush of this gentle darkness, I will take you into the slow, sleepy world of that old woodcutter and the mysterious teachings he left behind. So breathe softly, settle your mind, and walk with me into the forest. Belleau Grove was a village forgotten by time, a place where mornings rose with the smell of dew and twilight fell like a warm blanket across wooden roofs. Near the edge of the village, close to where the river curved like a silver crescent, stood a quiet little hut made of pine wood and old memories. This was the home of Basudev, the old woodcutter. For nearly 50 years he had lived among the trees. He knew each bend of the river, each hidden stream, each ancient pine that stood like a guardian of the forest. His hair had turned white long ago, his beard hung like soft winter snow, and his steps had slowed with age, but his mind remained steady, gentle, and deeply observant. Strangely, although everyone called him a woodcutter, Basudev had not cut a tree in many years. Every dawn he walked into the forest with nothing but a walking stick. He touched the bark of old trees, listened to the rustling branches, and whispered something under his breath, words no one could quite understand. Children sometimes followed him and giggled. "Look, the old man is talking to trees again." Adults simply shook their heads. His age has softened his mind. He imagines the forest speaks to him. But Basudev never corrected them. He had once believed the same, before the day the forest changed his life forever. This is where his story begins. Decades ago, when Basudev was a young woodcutter, he was fierce, strong, and impatient. The only thing he cared for was earning enough money to feed his family and survive the harsh winters. The forest to him was nothing but a resource, a place of timber and fuel. He cut down trees faster than any other man. He knew the forest paths like the lines of his palm. At that time, he believed strength was everything. One late afternoon, when the sky was turning the color of old gold, he wandered deeper than usual into the woods, into a part no one visited. There, in the heart of the forest, he found a tree unlike any he had ever seen. Its trunk was thick and twisted, its branches spread wide like ancient arms, and its bark glowed faintly as though it carried its own light. Basudev raised his axe. Just then, a sudden chill swept the air. The wind curled around him, heavy and strange. Leaves trembled, though no breeze passed through them. Then he heard it, a voice softer than a sigh, gentler than a memory. "You take and take, but have you ever asked what the forest gives you?" Basudev froze. He spun around. There was no one. The forest stood silent. Only the sound of the river far away. He gripped his axe tighter. Again the voice came, not from behind him, not from beside him, but from within the tree itself. "You take and take, but have you ever asked what the forest gives you?" Vasudev stumbled backward. His heart pounded, his lungs tightened. He dropped the axe. Silence returned, slowly, like a blanket falling. He did not cut the tree that day. Instead, he ran until his breath burned and the village lights flickered like distant stars. For weeks, he could not sleep. The voice echoed through his mind. Why do you hurt what keeps you alive? Why do you hurt what keeps you alive? He returned to the forest again and again, but the tree never spoke again. Yet something had changed deep inside him. He stopped cutting trees. He began to observe them, touching the soil, listening to the wind, watching the cycles of life and decay. Slowly, the forest became his teacher. And from that moment on, Vasudev was never the same.
Years passed. Vasudev aged. The village changed. A new generation took over the woodcutting work. Young men were strong, eager, and more ambitious than ever. They cut more trees in a week than Vasudev once cut in a month. The village prospered. At first, more wood meant more trade. More trade meant more money. More money meant better houses. But the forest grew thinner. Birds moved away. Streams began to dry early in summer. Rainstorms became harsher. The soil loosened. Vasudev warned them, "Take only what you need. Give time for the forest to heal. Respect what gives you life." They laughed at him. "Old man, the forest is endless. We need to grow. Trees grow back fast." But they didn't. The balance of the forest was breaking. One winter, the river water dropped to its lowest level in decades. Without enough trees to hold the soil, mudslides began to creep down the mountain. Then came the storm. A monstrous wind swept across Velagrove, tearing roofs from houses, flooding the farmlands, and ripping apart the land where trees once stood strong. The villagers were terrified. Many lost their homes. Crops were destroyed. The river spilled into the streets. They rushed to Vasudev's hut, the man they once mocked. "Tell us what to do. Why is this happening?" Vasudev stepped outside, leaned on his old walking stick, and looked at the trembling forest. His voice was soft, slow, almost like the wind. "Because you forgot to give back. Because you forgot the forest is alive. Because you forgot gratitude." Then he told them the story he had hidden for decades. The day the forest spoke to him. The villagers listened in stunned silence. For the first time, they understood the depths of their mistake. But understanding alone changes nothing. The forest needed healing, and Vasudev knew what had to be done. The storm had left the forest wounded. Broken branches lay scattered, roots exposed, streams clogged with debris. Vasudev gathered the villagers. "We will restore what we damaged, one tree at a time." The younger men rolled up their sleeves. Women brought water and saplings. Children collected fallen seeds. Vasudev moved slowly among them, guiding, teaching, whispering gentle wisdom. He showed them how to plant in harmony with the soil, where sunlight would nurture saplings, how to choose which trees to cut and which trees must stay untouched. For the first time in years, the villagers saw him not as a strange old man, but as a guardian of the forest. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months. The forest began to breathe again. Birds returned, streams brightened, new shoots rose through the soil. And Vasudev, he grew weaker. One afternoon, as the golden sun slipped behind the ridge, Vasudev called the villagers together beneath the ancient tree, the same tree that had spoken to him long ago. His voice was faint, but clear as crystal. "Promise me that you will listen to the forest." They nodded. "Promise me that you will take only what you need." They nodded again. "Promise me that you will teach your children gratitude." Tears spilled from every eye. Vasudev smiled softly. Life is not about taking. It is about balance. Remember that, and the forest will always protect you. That night, under the quiet silver moon, Vasudev closed his eyes for the last time. He left peacefully, the way leaves drift off branches in autumn. The villagers buried him beneath the ancient tree, and something miraculous happened. At the exact moment they covered the grave with soil, a soft wind blew. The ancient tree's leaves rustled gently, as if giving its blessing, and the villagers felt it, a presence, a gratitude, a whisper. The forest remembered him. Years passed, Velagrove transformed. The villagers now practiced careful harvesting. For every tree they cut, they planted 3 more. Children were taught the sacred balance of nature. The forest grew healthier than ever before. Travelers often visited the village to ask, "Who taught you this wisdom?" And the villagers always replied, "An old woodcutter who once listened to the forest." Under the ancient tree, Vasudev's grave became a place of quiet reflection. People sat there to seek guidance, to breathe, to find peace. Some swear that on quiet evenings, when the wind is soft and the sky is bathed in moonlight, you can still hear a whisper carried through the leaves. Respect what keeps you alive. Take only what you need. The forest listens. The mysterious teaching of the old woodcutter lived on, not in books, not in monuments, but in the hearts of the villagers and the trees that swayed gently around them. And the forest remained alive because someone once cared enough to listen.